Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to another live stream slash recording of Hearthstone. So we have 3 quests. We need to trade out one of these. We got lucky with a 100 gold quest. In fact, we got pretty lucky in general. I guess the question is, do I want to play Shaman or do I want to play Rogue and Warrior? And I guess I don't want to play Rogue and Warrior. So here we go. We've got a nice overlap here of winning 2 games with Shaman. We'll get both of these quests done and then win 7 games in any mode. The Tavern Brawl is new. Let's start with that after we open this Watch and Learn pack that I got. So another classic pack. Getting these classic packs helps fill in the classic collection. Ooh, a legendary. And once my classic collection is completely filled in, then any new classic packs you get, which you still and probably always will have a tendency to get in Watch and Learns, is going to mean just pure dust. So instead of the normal 5 cards getting disenchanted, giving me about 55 dust per pack, I'm getting only 35, but I got a legendary, which is actually worth about exactly 1600 dust. So I've gotten very nice. There's still that was very lucky. There's still a lot of classic cards that I don't have, and most of them are legendaries. So you're in this weird situation where it's gonna take a while. I couldn't even be certain that in a year from now, just on regular purchasing or getting of cards, and see, summon 1/1 whelps until your side of your battlefield is full. This is a great legendary to have. It's a dragon, good for a dragon deck, and I've played it many times through Tavern Brawls and such, but haven't owned it, which is pretty much true for a lot of these cards. Particularly if you have Prince Malchezaar, you will get a bunch of legendary cards and play them that you don't own. But when you just look here at classic cards in crafting mode, you can see that there's a few grayed out cards like this all over. I've seen about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, about 16 legendaries just as a rough quick count, and I know I did that very fast. So if it really takes 50 packs to open each to get each legendary, which is about the maximum it should be, then 50 times 16, you're talking, what is that, 750 packs of classic cards that's still needed, a ridiculously high amount. So our Tavern Brawl today, Ungoro has lain dormant for eons and it hides many delicious treats. Pick your class and we'll cook up some Ungori deck recipe for that hero, and we'll get another classic pack for that. So in the effort to save time, we'll play as the Shaman, and that will help us. So I was talking to one of my fans, and he was in a weird situation that he only had an iPhone 4, and apparently the iPhone 4 just stops the YouTube app from working, is what he was telling me. I don't know, I don't use iPhones. And so, and it also stops the Twitter app. So he was trying to figure out how live streams come on when I stream, and there's not a great amount I can do more than what I've already done. In the description box, I have an RSS feed, so if you could get an RSS reader on any kind of cell phone that can't run YouTube or Twitter, that would help. Also, I guess if you have a Facebook app that would give you notifications consistently, that would work, but that's not how Facebook works. I'm also on Tumblr and Google Plus, so you could potentially configure some kind of app to work with all of those. But at a certain point, there's very little I can do. And now, for most people, if you just subscribe to my channel and click the bell next to subscribe, you should get notifications. That being said, YouTube is weird, and all enemy minions, let's do it. And so I wouldn't be surprised for a second if people came back and said that even though they are subscribed to me, they get unsubscribed, or they're subscribed to me and they have to click the bell and they still don't see it. The only thing I could do that I don't want to do is schedule these, and it really wouldn't have worked this week because I would have been at least 24 hours off because of the fact that I got a watch and learn quest, and by getting that watch and learn quest, things got pushed back at least one day, if not a couple hours.
Job's done.
And see, this guy's trying for Crystal Cove, so I kind of need to win quickly here. In general, just want to win quickly. I do have a board full of news, but I could probably run through it pretty fast, and so let's go ahead and do that. Battlefront 2 probably won't have a season pass. Star Wars Battlefront 2. I don't think Battlefront 1 had a season pass either, so that's not an incredibly surprising turn. I played that wrong. I should have put this on the other side, but whatever. Gain 5 health for each elemental you played this turn. Esports is going to become a medal sport in the 2022 Asian Games. The games they're going to play are FIFA 2017, so they know that one in 2022. So a 5-year-old game at that point. Some MOBAs, they don't know what MOBAs, and a real-time action game. And that's kind of all they know. Now, there's a little bit more into this. This Asian game seems to be, in part, what could you say? A subsidiary of Alibaba, and Alibaba is in itself a closely related to the Chinese government entity business. So like Alibaba is where everything is purchased practically in China online. It is the competitor to Amazon.com. The big difference there being that Amazon.com doesn't have that much inner workings with the US government. They may very well, I think, have been in some meetings with the presidents, and that's about it. And they may have some influence in their large amount of people they hire. And Amazon.com is pretty notorious on exploiting its workers and overworking its workers too. So it's in some trouble with the government also. Anyways, but the biggest thing is Alibaba is introducing that, and has introduced this gamification into what you purchase, and if it's government approved things, you get a credit rating as a citizen. So it's really more of a citizenship rating, and these citizenship ratings are going to be they're in the process of turning that completely into a mandatory thing, and it's going to affect where you can live, whether you get a promotion, things like that. And it's quite nefarious. Really. Let's see.
Melt away.
Let's see. He's got the Crystal Cove, so I can't even kill this guy. I'm gonna lose here. I didn't realize that. So yeah, if you buy something on Alibaba like shoes for your job, your citizenship rate goes up. If you buy things like video games, your citizenship rating goes down. If you bought, more than likely, if you buy Chinese-made goods, your citizenship rate will go up, where if you buy something from another country, your citizenship rating may go down. And so you start to talk about currency manipulation. It clearly exists through Alibaba at the very least. So yeah, it's really nefarious, and that really doesn't have too much to do with the Asian games, but I can almost guarantee you that the Asian games, which I've never heard of before, in 22 will be playing mostly Chinese MOBAs and Chinese real-time action game. Speaking of Chinese things, we'll try that one again. I wonder if I get a different recipe here or the same recipe. The Chinese gaming giant Tencent, which almost every company in China is heavily regulated, and if not under almost complete direct influence of the Chinese government, they're rebranding their digital store to WeGame, and their digital stores, I suppose, in an attempt to compete with Steam. You know, Steam's got a lot of competitors already, and frankly, nobody wants that competition. Also, I guess I kind of do, but I kind of don't. Like, the last thing, I just had to use Uplay, and I can't even log into Uplay's website because I turned on two-factor authentication and my phone broke, and now it's telling me I have to go call the customer service, and I'm like, I don't want to call the customer service. But then but I can still log into the Uplay launcher without just two-factor authentication, which is kind of ridiculous in the first place. And so I'm just like, well, whatever. I'll deal with that later. And the reason why I turned on two-factor authentication in the first place is because Uplay doesn't allow very long passwords, and it's not very secure in the first place. And that's kind of the only time I even bothered to turn on two-factor anymore, is when the website itself proves to me that it's not a safe service to be really dealing with. But as far as Uplay games on Steam, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare to launch a game from Steam and then launch another launcher and then have to deal with the second launcher. Last thing I would want to do is launch a game from Steam and then launch a Wii game thing. It is also worth pointing out, here I'm practically ranting propaganda against China here at this point, but it's true. It's like Wii game, as in we just totally stole the Wii, W-I-I, after the Wii is no longer for sale. They really just are stealing the name completely. And pretty closely gonna try to create some brand confusion, maybe not in non-Chinese countries, but in China I could see people thinking Wii Game is a Nintendo-based online store, and that Nintendo has moved into the PC market. That's totally a possibility. Now let me look and see if I have anything else anti-Chinese to say, because that's a weird just coincidence going on here. No, good. So that's it for that. The whole digital store thing, though, really is weird. I kind of do want all games on Wii, on Steam. Like, I want all those Windows Live games on Steam. There's a game that is Halo Wars is coming to Steam, but it doesn't have crossplay to the Windows Live version, and I'm like, this is just ridiculous. Why can't they just get it to work the way it should work? So, like, I kind of do want one thing. And the problem, of course, is money, as it often is that if Steam is the only place where you sell games, then the price of games are never going to really go on sale, even though Steam has been quite notorious for putting games on sale. It's only really in the factor and the purpose of gaining market share. In the same way Amazon.com sells things at a less of a profit, particularly books, to try to gain market share. And we've lost, in the United States, we've lost almost all of our bookstores except for Barnes and Nobles because of that. That being said, bookstores were probably going to go out of business anyways, and libraries are not going to go out of business. Although it might kill libraries eventually. I mean, if literally you can only get books from Amazon.com, and then Amazon.com charges libraries a ridiculous amount of money for those things, for books, I could see a future occur where you couldn't actually afford to stock your library with any modern books.
Job's done.
That being said, books should die. Like, there's really no reason to have physical print books in the vast majority and quantities that we do have. It should be digital. And that's covering just general books. That doesn't for a second touch like educational books, which will stay around for a very long time and be huge rip-offs. On the face of it that way, I guess if Amazon.com started selling... let's play a different character here. This is not going to work. If Amazon.com started selling... Let's just try the mage. Just a simple mage game. If they started selling educational books, which are $4, $5, $6, $7, $800 for an educational textbook, just because they can, because of, crony capitalism going on in the local governments and school systems, then you could very easily, it probably also happens in the federal element of the education department too. Let's not just say local governments there. But if Amazon was selling each one of the educational books and they were $100, which is still a lot for a book, but not an incredible amount,
Job's done.
then that could put out a lot of the educational book companies out of business, and I don't think very many people would be too upset about that, and it would reduce the cost of the education of students a lot, and books, like, it probably, the cost to educate a student probably, the number one cost is probably paying the teachers and the other staff, the vast amount of staff there. The second is probably maintaining facilities. I could see that. And then the third is almost certainly the cost of of buying books. And then what else would there be? Electricity. Yeah, I could expect that the electricity bill and the utilities bills of water and things could be really high. The question is, does one student, if you played this, let flame geyser in your hand? Let's do that. There we go. Moving on though, DDR4 prices are expected to rise again. This isn't very much video game reserve related as much as it is just PC related. And I figured I'd mention it. I guess for the past two streams we've kind of had a fall off on people commenting, like, so again, if it's just not very many commenting and there is sort of a issue that's gonna grow if it's always low-key that is the person that is the one person interested in playing with me or talking to me. That's a little bit of an issue. It's not a huge issue. I'd rather have one fan and try to make them happy than have no fans because I'm upset that I only have one fan. That's really what it just breaks down to. So, but if nobody's on by the time in an hour and a half or 2 hours, probably 2.5 hours actually, from now, then I'll just wrap it up. I'm moving on to playing BioShock Infinite for Father's Day, which is a spoiler, but so I'll try and not mention that at the beginning of the game, although honestly I'm not really upset if I spoil a game as old as BioShock Infinite. Let's see. This costs 2. So yeah, that's the next thing I'm gonna I need to move forward on. I've done the main part of Borderlands. I want to do BioShock Infinite, and then I want to go back to Borderlands and do the DLC, and then after that it's at some point, like, I need to do BioShock Infinite, then Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I would assume, is my next thing. And let's see, is there something we could do?
What to do?
This.
I'm warning you. I'm unstable.
And then this. And then this. There we go. And then, like, after Assassin's Creed, go back to Borderlands. That's my next thing. Interestingly, Reservoir Dogs Bloody Days is coming to Steam May 18th for the movie Reservoir Dogs 25th anniversary. This is really weird because, like, it's almost just cheap promotion of old movies and new movies through video games. This apparently is a new thing that they are trying to do. Here we have Loki spectating me. Whenever you cast a spell, give this minion +1 health. So Loki almost certainly doesn't know that I'm streaming right now, otherwise he would be just watching the stream. Let's see.
Job's done.
So yeah, there's another movie. Let's see if I can find it on my list here. Like, Paranormal Activity VR was made, and that's, I think, based on the movie Paranormal Activity. They're making a new movie called Mission Impossible VR for movie promos. I'm not happy with this idea at all. This is a terrible use of the video game industry, really.
Flames consume you.
Like, I don't really care too much about the VR games because of all of that. Let's see. So Loki finally figured out I was streaming, and he goes, "Hey Rydo" on the chat. I figured he'd figure out that I was streaming. Although I did actually hop on for a quick second and do a watch and learn with Loki. Loki is really great because of all my friends that are online, he's the only one that's ever actually online playing Hearthstone.
Break yourself upon my
So he's real reliable to just, if I get one of those watch and learns, I can pop on, and I'm sure there's a thought there that he'll consider I might be streaming when I hop on for just a second. But it's not going to be a big deal. I'd really like to win this game, and then we're going to wrap up this recording and start the next one. The live stream will continue, but I'd like to get a victory here and move on to play with the shaman deck that I built, and then we should get the rest of the things done. As far as the news, we still got a lot here. Loki has sent a smiley face in Unicode on the chats. Smiley face. I actually drew a frowny face when I was talking about Mission Impossible VR, which is weird in my notes because I don't draw pictures. I'm too literal, I suppose you might say. Deal 15 damage to this and the random adjacent ones. Let's do this. And this. And this. And this. And win. I got the 80 gold challenge, a friend request, says Loki. Okay, if you're gonna stay around, let's gonna do that, because I'm almost certainly gonna play you again at the end of the streams. We gotta get the daily quests done first in the recordings, but just let me know if you've gotta go, and I'll bump that up and we'll do it first. But otherwise, let's just do it at the end, because unless somebody else shows up and wants to stream, wants to play me, I would play them first, just to be fair, since we've played each other multiple times now. I will most definitely take 80 gold for playing a friend. Come on. There we go. That's the victory I was hoping to get. Loki says sounds good, so we'll do that. We get that we get that quest. We've made progress on a couple of them. Not as much progress as I would have liked to make in 30 minutes, but isn't that always the case with Hearthstone? We got a legendary at the beginning of this recording. We are not going to get so lucky as to get a secondary legendary. But 2 rares will probably give me slightly more than 55 gold. No, exactly 55 dust. Well, we're building up our dust. That's it for this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're doing another recording live stream of Hearthstone. It's April 19th, and we've got chats going on. Last recording I did, I opened a legendary, and Loki wants to know which legendary I got. It's that one that starts with an O. Let's see if I can find it. It's like a 6 mana legendary that summons in. It was a classic card, so I can switch down to this and filter it down. It's the one that summons in as many 1/1 whelps as you need to fill in your deck. Here it is. Onyxa. Battlecry, summon 1/1 whelps until your side of the battlefield is full. 9 mana, 8 attack, 8 health card. That's the legendary, I got it. So, moving on with actually what we're supposed to be doing today, we need to get 2 victories with the Shaman or Mage, 2 victories with the Shaman or Warlock. So if I just get 2 victories with the Shaman in general, I will get 80 gold and be 3 of the 7 victories in any mode that I need done. For total dominance to get another 100 gold. So all I have to do is play a Shaman deck. Which, is this a Shaman? No, that's a Rogue. We have Overload spells attack, and we have, I think, a secondary Quest Murloc attack. And let's see, what are we at right now? Can we play either one of these in standard? No, so we gotta play wild. So we might as well just play wild ranked. So let's start with that, and here we go. Onyxia. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce it. Fake names that I've never dealt with. I just try my best. Total dominance can be done with friends. Interesting. So we could save a little bit of time, according to Loki, and do that. Yeah. Okay, so then I guess I can save an incredible amount of time and win 2 shaman victories. And then just start playing people that are online and want to play me. Well, if that's the case, then I need to move forward on the news and work here. Here's The Rock is put a video of himself in a giant Pikachu suit on Instagram. It's kind of creepy looking. In fact, any of those giant Pikachu things are kind of creepy. Pikachu only works as they only really work as a small little mouse-like creature. He doesn't look that good elsewise. I'm just gonna end my turn here. It's Onyxia. Yeah, that's probably closer, Loki. Onyxia. Yeah. Let's see, moving on. GTA 5 is somehow being used to teach driverless cars. That's gonna end in tears, almost certainly. Like, I don't think GTA 5's particularly even that good of a car simulator. I would feel something closer to like Dirt 4 should be used to teach driverless cars, not GTA. Some researchers are also trying to zap muscles with electricity to simulate walls in VR. Again, that's going to end in tears. Like, I know there's devices now that they've allowed for general over-the-counter sales to do that. So I'm not completely ignorant of that. I'm just I think it's going to end up causing muscle tenderness and potentially like cramps. Yeah. But yeah, GTA 5 teaches driverless cars really well. Well, I suppose there is one reason why you would want to play GTA 5 versus a racing game. In most racing games, the pedestrians aren't able to interact with the cars. They're behind barriers, they jump out of the way or anything like that. In GTA 5 particularly, the game is designed to allow you to run over pedestrians. If you're trying to teach a driverless car not to run over pedestrians, then you just have to program it to do the opposite of what the game itself is programmed to. So I guess there is a level of logic into that. But it certainly does seem kind of crazy. Are we gonna win here? Almost certainly. And then this goes down every Murloc I control. So one more Murloc played at the next turn and I can do this and win, almost certainly. Halo Wars Definitive Edition is coming to Steam this week. It's getting updated graphics, DLC, Steam leaderboards, Steam Cloud Save, but no crossplay. So if you were really big into Halo Wars and you weren't playing it on Xbox to begin with or Windows Live, I guess you could get into it now and start with a whole new community, which might be a good thing. That way you don't just get your GTA 4 as well. Yeah. I imagine they wouldn't use GTA 4 low-key, but they probably... GTA 4 is definitely designed around the idea of being able to run over pedestrians. GTA 5 in particular has had a very long lifespan. Like, since it's come out, it's had something in the news about it for practically its entire release. You can't even go even a few months without something coming out about it. Either there's an interesting mod, or there's an interesting video of people doing something cool, or the Lindsay Lohan, I think, was the actress that was suing them for using her likeness, and she lost that copyright claim because they never called the character that they put on the front of the cover, even though it clearly was a photo reference drawing of Lindsay Lohan or whatever. They never called her Lindsay or in any way implied to it, so it was kind of a groundbreaking legal decision as far as copyright to say, even if somebody looks incredibly like you, you don't by default have a copyright on your own likeness, even if you're famous. The pedestrians were the same in GTA 4. Pretty much, yeah. But I doubt they would bother to use GTA 4 when they have GTA 5. There's probably more modding you can do on GTA 5 that helps the driverless cars. Which of the driverless car companies that's using that, I don't know. Speaking of that, Tesla came out or announced that they were making a truck that runs on batteries, which is an interesting but probably dumb idea, because when you have electrical gear motors and you put more resistance on them, they take more electricity, and they have a tendency to also create more heat. So unlike the sedan electric cars, which are not designed to haul anything or have anything really in their I want to say boot of their car, but in their trunk, I've watched too much Top Gear. I'm using British colloquialisms. Since those cars aren't designed to really haul much more than the humans in it, the gear motors, which I assume are what they're using on either all the wheels as one gear motor, or they're doing all-wheel drive where it would be a motor on each one. They're not going to use that. They're never going to really vary in how much electricity they use to do one revelation. On a truck, what you expect from a truck is to hold a trailer, to have a boat behind you, or at the very least haul something. Now, in the United States, it is very, very common for people to buy trucks anyways, because they're very popular and they're very big and sturdy. So if you're in a sedan and you get in a wreck with a truck, you're going to get a lot more damage on your car than if you just drove a truck and got in a wreck with another truck. And since they're very popular in the United States, people often get them and never use them, me included. The first car that I bought personally for myself was a Ford F-150, and I loved it to death, and then it got smashed by somebody who was drunk and just drove right into it as it was parked and destroyed my car. And after that point, I never really cared about owning cars again, because that was my baby, and I didn't. And you only have one first love. But I never used it nor did I ever really intend to use it as a actual truck or haul anything. So if you have an electric version of that, that might work very well for a person like me who wants to buy a truck just because it gives me more leg room and puts me higher off the ground and has more steel around me in case of an accident. But a person like me doesn't really ever imply to intend to haul anything or do anything with it, or have a job that would require any of that. That being said, every circle of friends should have at least one truck, in my opinion, so that when the inevitable friend needs to move, you can actually pack a bunch of their stuff into the truck and move, or if they need to haul something or move just one small thing. In general, though, if you're going to move an entire apartment or house, you're still going to end up renting a U-Haul, which is more like it's a truck too, but it's a specially built truck that has a roof over its head and is designed to be filled floor to ceiling with boxes and gives you a lot more space. Moving on from talking about trucks, since I really don't have anything that I'm supposed to be talking about video games, StarCraft and Brood Wars are now free, and it got the first patch in 8 years. It probably needs one little patch still because the profiles aren't working, but this is all in anticipation of the remaster of StarCraft 1. So what's interesting about this idea is it's still not on the Battle.net launcher, the Blizzard launcher as it's called now, and 8 years for Blizzard is apparently the profit window, and that sets an interesting precedent, because you kind of always have to wonder, when does abandonware actually become abandonware? Now, abandonware is not a legal definition. That you never lose your copyright for something just after a certain amount of time because of well, frankly, directly because of Disney always pushing that back and lobbying to have that pushed back. Otherwise, you would actually lose your window. It's supposed to be 80 years right now, I think, past the death of the creator. So Mickey Mouse is still under copyright when it should have been free domain many years ago, and frankly it would have helped society a lot more if it had gone free domain. And when you look at Disney, they're kind of abandoning animation completely and firing and screwing over their animators for live action versions of their movies. And so who's really keeping the money there in Disney? It's the people that are at the top, and then they're exploiting the animators. They're probably not doing their best job to avoid exploiting the Disney World, Disneyland workers and performers. And so the rich are getting richer off of creations of art that they really didn't have any hand in it. Like, I could understand if the actual animators of the original Mickey Mouse cartoons were getting residuals and they were making the money, but they're long since gone. They're not getting residuals. They're not doing anything at all, benefiting anything from it all. So why are we letting the corporate entity of Disney profit off of that animation when the entire society could profit and better itself from Mickey Mouse being free domain? If Mickey Mouse did go free domain tomorrow, it doesn't for a second stop Disney from continuing to make Mickey Mouse things. And Disney has a name behind it, so they would be trusted as the best Mickey Mouse creating animators available for right now, for a while. But people that wanted to do their own versions of Mickey Mouse cartoons could also do that, and that would be interesting. That would be very, very interesting, because then we might have a flood of mostly bad but sometimes good, sometimes great Mickey Mouse cartoons. And that would really work nicely in the movie theaters if you're going to make long form cartoons in the movie theaters, because we don't have a lot of that happening. We most definitely barely get one kids movie coming out in the theaters, and often it's not super friendly for the younger set. That being said, most of the younger set, most of really, really young kids can't sit through a theater anyway, so if you're gonna let kids run around in a theater watching that, expect them to be rather rambunctious. But I think you kind of have to just come to accept that if you're gonna make really, really young kid friendly things. And there certainly would be a possible avenue in which they could make things more kid friendly, because often things that are supposed to be kid friendly are in some small way subversive about something, and there's a backlash of that. Anyways, I'm supposed to be talking about video games though, and I somehow started talking about that. In the not news segment, we have the Prepared to Dine teaser. Turns out it's an RPG called Code Vein, so that was clearly hype trickery. We knew that at the beginning. That they were just hyping up something that that they weren't ready to even announce the game. So clearly that's a not news situation where somebody announces a game without even announcing the name. Like, what do you want in your video game announcements? I think about this as a news reporter of sorts. It's like, I want to know the name of the game. I kind of want to know what it's about, what kind of game it is, and I want to know the release date. Those are the three things I want. So, in my head, if I have nothing else to talk about, then I might mention something beyond that, but in all realistic since I should only mention those three things. And if there's an article that doesn't mention one of those three things, or one of those three things has already been mentioned, that I should just ignore it. But yeah, I was talking about profit windows. It's like 8 years of profit, then you just let the game be free. Should that be the amount? So many other video game companies would think that's a ridiculously short amount of time. Like Bandai Konami, for example, Bandai Namco is still selling versions of Pac-Man and making money off of that, and Pac-Man certainly has been out for a lot longer than 8 years, and the idea that the original Pac-Man would go free to Bandai Namco is ridiculous. In fact, Bandai Namco, which is the reason I'm mentioning them, is trademarked Pac-Man Maker. Now, what's interesting about this is it's almost certainly because of the Google April Fool's Day prank, in which they turned Google Maps locations into Pac-Man things. So that's probably where they got the idea. They probably wanted to trademark it just to make sure that Google couldn't do that again. Maybe, but unlikely, Google was working with them, and they're going to use some of that technology in the Maker game. Kind of like Mario Maker. They're also most definitely stealing from the Mario Maker idea. The problem here, though, is the same problem that April Fool's Day joke had. It's actually not very good to make your own custom Pac-Man games. You could probably think of a few good levels, but most people aren't going to balance it right, and every single corner, every single opportunity to succeed is going to turn into this potentially situation where you're going to make bad versions. Well, what do I want to do? I can kill this one, and I can kill this one, and then I can heal. Interesting. So, like, I don't think, like in Mario Maker, that very many people are gonna make good things. Why not War Leader? Let's see. Which one's War Leader? I don't see a War Leader card. So either I did play War Leader and I lost it, or something else happened there. We could do this, and we could do this. And that's from a new guy called Cambat. Welcome, Cambat. You always want to kill the Manatide Totem. Well, I think I killed him. I did kill him, eventually. So, yeah. And the other thing to keep in mind with the Pac-Man Maker trademark, Bandai Namco made, is remember that Championship Edition DX2 really wasn't that good of a game.
I wonder.
And also remember there's Pac-Man 256 that's laden with microtransactions on the cell phone versions, which that wasn't very much appreciated either. I can't believe I'm this far into this game, 9th turn, and still haven't won. So yeah, they're gonna come out with another Pac-Man game, and they're gonna keep on coming out with Pac-Man games, but it's certainly going to probably not be that great. Cambat says misplay. Try to be more descriptive on how I misplayed because I'm gonna misplay a lot. I'm not that great. I would say. Somebody came on my channel and criticized one of my Pinball FX2 videos and said I was quick to jump to decisions and that I contradicted myself by saying that the lower playfield of a pinball table was empty and then the top part of the playfield was too busy with too many ramps. And while I certainly had the idea to argue with that decision, that what would you call it, that criticism, in the end I decided, you know what, he said that he was interested in playing the table after that, so if he's happy with what he saw and it let him make his decision, I've done my job. So if I play a game badly or criticize it badly, and what you see you disagree with in my criticism, I guess that's perfectly fine by me. The last thing I want to do is become one of these critics where everybody has to agree with me, otherwise I'll change my opinion so everybody does agree with me. I also don't want to become a critic who's just being contrarian, although I often am negative, but I don't want to be contrarian just for the sake of it. I would never want to change my position just to be against other people's positions. So, particularly in Hearthstone, yeah, I know I'm not a good Hearthstone player, but I'm pretty terrible at it. I've seen lots of other people do a lot better, but I keep playing it, and it lets me talk about the news and not have to focus on a game. I couldn't cover the news if I was doing a game that was a high action first person shooter or something like that. So the slower pace of this game certainly helps with that. So we finally got a victory. We're not doing too bad here. So the good news is, I suppose now we've done everything except for the win 7 games in any mode. So I'm gonna end this recording now, but stay tuned if you're watching on the live stream, and if you want to play me, we're gonna do that. It's gonna be a little bit weird because I still got some news, and we need to go 30 minutes because this will become a recording, but I have no reason not to play Friends in the next recording and work towards those 7 victories. Maybe I would have to drop off if I lose a lot, but that's going to be it for this recording. Again, stay if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to Hearthstone. So you can see here I've been challenged by Loki. He has challenged a friend for 80. Our daily quest is win 7 games in anything, and Loki was certainly chomping at the bit to challenge me. So he wants a standard game or a wild game. Interesting. Seems like I can do anything I want, so I'm just gonna go through all of them, and we'll see what happens here. Loki said in between the last recording and this one, by the way, it's April 19th, I believe.
I must protect
Yep.
the wild.
If I didn't say the date. He said, I'll help you get better. That's up to you, though. You got lethal time to go to the casino. What does that one mean, Loki? Time to go to the casino. Are you telling me that you have to rush through this game, or are you being hyperbolic?
Hello.
My greetings.
Open the way gate. So the only thing here is normally when I play Loki, I am trying to just let him show off his cards and not let him win if he wants. In this one case, I kind of need the victories just to save time. Also, it's a little bit different because we still have a little bit of news here that I want to cover, and this is going to be a 30-minute recording, so we may do some live streaming after that point, but as far as it's Casino Mage is the name of his deck, apparently. That's an interesting name. I guess that means it has a lot of random things in it. The Tony Hawk Pro Skater documentary has missed its Indiegogo funding goal, but it's still going forward. Which, frankly, from my perspective, the Tony Hawk element, that are fans of Tony Hawk, just need to let everything go, anyways, because there's one or two Tony Hawk games that were good. I will fully grant you that, but after that, the others were only okay, and the latest Tony Hawk game was just a garbage pile, and the game before that was kind of bad too, because it was like this Wii built-in thing with a special skateboard peripheral. It's like there hadn't been a good Tony Hawk thing. Also, frankly, Tony Hawk is kind of old, and so I know he's probably rather well known still in the skating world, but in the general kids that like skating, I don't think they're going to be fans of Tony Hawk as much as they might be fans of whoever the next Tony Hawk is. I don't know, not being a fan of skating that much myself. And frankly, I think maybe skating has gotten a little bit more family friendly than it used to be. I'm sure the police still harass skaters a lot for skating in the wrong place and trespassing, and assuming that they're holding drugs and such. But I think they've kind of mellowed on that more than it used to be. Where in the old days, it seemed like skaters might be enemy number 2 on the police radar. But talking about this Tony Hawk Pro Skater things, the one thing they aren't letting go, that was a good transition there, is the money that they made. So they're keeping all that money that they got from Indiegogo. They say they're going to use it to actually continue making the documentary, but who knows. A side note here. Oh, look, he's got a relatively interesting story. I met Tony Hawk in Florida years back. Cool. Like, I heard a story where Tony Hawk went through the airport recently, and somebody looked at his name and he goes, just like the skater, and he goes, yep. And they go, and then the guy checking him goes, I wonder what that guy's doing right now, and he goes, this. I'm checking in. at the airport. Yeah. I hear Tony Hawk is a really great guy, and he's probably one of the best commercial tie-in persons you could do with until he, as long as no huge scandal comes out about him, which I don't think will happen. I would certainly see why you would still want to have him as your sponsor, but and I know he's got like all these special skating practice things in the back of his ranch that I think he lets kids go to. So he's probably gonna become like a Bill Gates type person who was really famous for one thing in his youth, and now he's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he got into promoting health education throughout the schools and teaching kids to skate and all that.
What to do? What to do?
But yeah, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Tony Hawk, and I imagine that's probably why we haven't seen too many replacements for him, because I bet a bunch of the other skaters are a little bit more aggressive and abrasive. Moving on, Twitch has confirmed that they're going to have $10 and $15 subscription tiers. Man. Like, I couldn't imagine anybody paying $10 or $25 a month to watch all of my content on Twitch. I couldn't imagine people even doing too much of that for like PewDiePie and their favorite streamers. It just seems like too much money for far too many people. And it feels almost like elitism at that point. It's like, I'm going to have my 100 fans that are willing to pay $25 a month on this Twitch channel, where my other million fans, I'm thinking like PewDiePie might do something like this, and I don't think PewDiePie actually would do that. But it seems too expensive. $25, you're talking, for that price of $25, you're halfway to a brand new game almost. And I think most people would rather buy a brand new game. Even the $5 subscription seems like a lot on Twitch. And I don't do anything on Twitch. I have a channel. I've never streamed on it, but I have it there just in case I ever do want to.
Join the pack.
But like, for the life of me, I couldn't imagine doing that. If I got a not a GoFundMe, but what is a Patreon, I could think about maybe once I have a lot of fans getting like maybe a couple $100 a month. I was watching somebody's break it down, and they said that like people do Patreons for videos, and they get they have like 50,000 fans, and they get about $200 to $400 on the first video, and then it just goes down and down and down, and you're getting, they were getting like $90 by their fourth video of the month, and so a $90 for an entire week is worth of work is what they said they spent on it. I could certainly see people not being happy about that. That being said, per video on YouTube ad revenue, you're not getting anywhere near $90 per video. Am I holding a dragon? Draw all 3 cards. If you're holding a minion with 5 or more, adapt. We'll do that. And Wind Fury. And what's this? Summon 1/1 Jade. Gain an empty mana crystal. Draw a card. Kill this, do this. In return, there we go. Moving on with news here, there's a new Facebook game initiative that they're going to push to have more games. That's not good news. Last thing I want to do is get game notifications on Facebook again. Steve Ballmer spends $10 million on USA Facts, which is just USA government spending. Frankly, I don't think you really need to spend $10 million to know that the vast majority of all government spending is on the military, and anything that's really below that amount is really just chump change. So, from my perspective, either you're going to be upset about that, or you're going to be happy about that. The NES Classic has been discontinued worldwide, although there are rumors of a Super NES Classic coming out. The only thing I could think here is maybe the NES Classic sold the amount they wanted to sell in Japan and they just don't care about Japan. This will be an interesting move. Like, that's the only thing I could kind of think. Either that, or they just had so many contracts in place where they said, for this many months your factory is going to make the NES Classic, and this many months, there's a nice move, the Meteor, in this many months you're going to make the Super NES Classic, and this many months you're going to make like an N64 Classic. I don't think they do anything else Classic unless they were trying to, in some weird way, push people back into a Wii Classic. Like, I guess you could kind of do that, but they've already tried that. Like,
I have enough mana.
I'm gonna take the victory here if I can. Because I need the victories. And we got to watch and learn. And I guess Cambat either hasn't sent me a friend request. Let's just double check here. What is this? What does this button do? I don't even know what that symbol is. Is that a boot? Fireside Gathering. Get together and play Hearthstone with others at an event near you. Beta. Hearthstone will have access to your location and Wi-Fi networks. Well, that's not going to work with my PC plugged into my house, but so that's new. So yeah, Cambat's not here, and he hasn't sent me a friend request or a challenge or anything. I assume he could send me a challenge while I'm challenging Loki. That would be a little unfair if that's not the case, but I don't know. There's a new Hot Shots Golf coming out in August for Japan and PS4. Right now, I think I'm going to announce all games even if they don't come out for PC now. That got me thinking, is there a good golf game for PC? Yeah, Loki Cat says if he wants to play me, it's cool. Yeah, he's got a... If anybody wants to play me, Camcat or anybody else, then send me a friend request. I'll check after every game, and I'll send a challenge to anybody that just instantly sends me a friend request, because Loki and I have played a lot in the past 3 or 4 streams. Moving on, NIS America is selling Cardcaptor Sakura Blu-rays. I'm not sure if they're actually the official distributor, but it goes to show that NIS America is more of a Japanese company than an America company, even though they are an America company of a wing, because they completely failed to mention the fact that Cardcaptor Sakura is getting a series continuation, a sequel. And obviously that's well known as that was a beloved cartoon in Japan, so everybody in Japan knows that Cardcaptor Sakura is coming back. I don't know if it's particularly going to be that good, because they tried to do that with Sailor Moon and it didn't have very good animation quality to it, and it was a kind of a disappointment from what I heard. But the fact that it wasn't even mentioned, and they're just trying to sell these Blu-rays, and the only reason I even bring this up is NIS of America brings over a lot of Japanese games too, and that's what they mostly do. But that's really silly. Speaking of silly things, you can fight the CEO of Square Enix like you can in the Final Fantasy demo in Nier Automata's DLC. Also, the DLC is giving a new outfit to the main character in Nier Automata. It's pretty risque of an outfit, but not incredibly risque. It's lingerie style clothing without being revealing. So if I was gonna play Nier Automata, I think I could probably still get it on YouTube without doing any real censorship. Which I probably do want to play that game at some point. Let's see, can I do this? What was this card? What did this one do? Give a friendly minion 1/1. Can I keep anything alive? Not really. So we'll kill this guy and then play this. Attack, attack, and attack. So I did buy Bayonetta, and now it's just a matter of time of finding the right time. Ideally, I would like to play Bayonetta in that Honey Pop time slot, but that Honey Pop time slot was not supposed to be a permanent time slot. So if I continue down that path, I'm going to spend extra energy recording yet another game when that energy should be better spent it should be better spent covering kids games at the beginning of my block of videos that come out every Monday and Friday. Like I want to play this Disney Pirates of the Caribbean game since the Pirates of the Caribbean movie is coming out. I'm not going to do any more Lego things. I saw some Lego on sale, and I still kind of want to buy the Lego games, but I'm not going to cover them. I'm not going to play them on PC. It's 100% obvious that they don't care one bit about the PC ports on their for Lego games, and so I don't want to suffer through that. Now let's make sure I'm getting victories here, because that's what we're working towards. Yes, I am getting victories, so that's cool. And nobody's friended me, so I'll just keep playing Loki. Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap is coming out April 18th. And then for most things at PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, and then it's coming out on Steam in a few weeks. That might be a nice game to play if you're looking for an old school platformer that's been kind of remastered. The Great Ace Attorney is coming out in Japan on August 3rd for the 3DS. Really just covering all games that are getting announced now. Gravity Rush 2 has a free Nier costume. That's probably the most amount of new news that Gravity Rush 2 has had in a long time. I kind of wanted to play Gravity Rush 2, but it seemed like it just wasn't that good of a game, so eventually I might get down to it. I'm probably personally going to postpone the creative update for Windows if I can figure out how to do it. I think most people probably should postpone it to the most amount because it doesn't seem like they're doing their due diligence there. I'm just going to end the turn here. And see, that means we only got a couple of things left. The Tiny Build CEO has called on game conferences to help prevent another G2A Bulletstorm fiasco, which honestly, that's more advertisement. That's more advertisement than Bulletstorm should get. So basically what Tiny Build CEO is saying here is that the CEOs of video game companies are so busy that they don't know that GTA has all this controversy around it. And all they see is that game conferences that the CEOs go to allow GTA to give speeches and have booths in the conferences. And therefore, because G2A at some game conference is next to, say, CD Projekt Red was his example, G2A has been given credibility by association, which is the dumbest thing in the world. Like, if I personally stand by an Honest Abe-like character, am I all of a sudden very honest? I mean, that's literally what he's making as an argument, and it's so dumb. But that's the argument he's making, and it's dumb on another point because the Tiny Build CEO is saying that CEOs of video game companies are so busy running their business that they can't run their business enough to do research that you would have to do in any kind of business when you're making a contract or deal with any kind of other company. Like, by default, if I was the CEO of any company that was any big at all, I would either personally look into the company that I was going to do a deal with, or I would hire a corporate private investigator or just a regular private investigator to find out as much information in the first place. The idea that you would go in business and a huge, big public
get behind me.
cooperation with GTA and claim that you've done zero research into the company bolds horribly well. It's really, really dumb. It's really, really bad. It's stupid that the Tiny Build CEO makes this claim. It's stupid that the CEO of Gearbox, Randy Pitchford, claimed to have never heard of G2A when they're making a contract with him. It's stupid that he then throws his publishing division under the bus and say and let them either decide whether they want to claim responsibility or not. And I didn't see whether they decided to claim responsibility or what. What? Oh, that was dumb. I took taunt even though I already had taunt.
I'll take him out.
It's just stupidity upon stupidity upon stupidity, really. And yeah, Bulletstorm is dead. Like, I'll probably get the re-release. How come I don't use the quest with this deck, Loki is asking? Probably because I don't have the quest. Almost certainly. Loki also mentioned here that he keeps sending me messages and you're not getting them, haha. Yeah, that's definitely true. Like, I play on busy. I'm gonna always be on busy. So, like, even when I click on you and see them, they're not there, Loki. So, just keep commenting on my thing. Turn busy off low. But no, because then Loki, I get you to comment on my video, and I've gotten notices from YouTube where it says specifically that that my comments have gone way up every time I play you. So you're helping my YouTube channel a lot more than if you just commented here. I think I'm doing a decent enough job, though, reading what Loki says and responding to it. I don't think I've missed any of your statements. Finally, we're about done with this recording, and I think this is probably going to be the end of the stream, too. So, recently, I tried to play the Oddworld series. That really sucked. 4 games in Oddworld, and couldn't get a single one of them to make sense to play. Because Oddworld 1 is this really old platformer that has no checkpoint system and makes you die, and it's just way too frustrating. I'd never be able to beat it. Oddworld 2 has bugs in it according to the Steam discussion boards, and thus you can't play Oddworld 2. The remake of Oddworld 1, New and Tasty, has problems with it, and it's not worth playing. Also, and I'm gonna lose. I summoned all these characters, and I didn't need to do that. Loki says, okay, sounds good. I don't know if he's saying it sounds good because I won't turn off busy, or if it sounds good because I don't have that taunt thing. I think he means because I won't turn off busy. So then Oddworld 3, there's really no reason to play Oddworld 3 right now because Oddworld 2's remake is about to get released, and that's why I tried to play the game in the first place. So Oddworld Soulstorm is the remake, or it seems like it's going to be the remake of the second game. And so you'd want to play that remake, then you'd want to play 3, which isn't a 2D platform at all. It's a 3D platformer, and it changes the way you play the game quite a lot. So it's weird in itself because of that. And then Oddworld 4, Stranger's Wrath is the subtitle on that one. You play as a completely different character. The previous characters aren't even involved, and it's a first-person shooter. So the first 2 games are 2D platformers and unplayable. The third game is a 3D platform and is playable, but looks kind of dated. The fourth game is a first-person shooter. The remake of the first game isn't worth playing, and so I didn't ever even buy it because it's got so many bugs. The sequel to the remake is about to get announced, but if you can't play the remake of the first game, would you really want to play the remake of the second game alone? So it just gets down to the point of Oddworld being this huge mess of a series, and I never played it, and I don't have that nostalgia because it was a PlayStation game. But I really wanted to get into it, even though it is a very weird looking game. And there's just no easy thing there. And so, at the end of the day, trying to play all these games and spotlighting all of them, I just had to say, you know what, they should stop with the Oddworld series, and they should just make a new series of games. Take what they've learned, move forward. You can't stop making remakes. You're not doing a good job of it. Stop trying to sell the old thing. Just do something that's more relatable. The other things I played Reigns and was very disappointed in that game. That's a card game where you swipe left, swipe right to kind of like Tinder to make decisions, and that's all you do. And it's kind of a cell phone game, or the idea certainly plays itself well as the cell phone version of games, but at the end of the day, Reigns really suffers from not having a like linear storyline that you have to see. So you may play hours and hours of the game and not unlock everything, and I didn't unlock the things you needed to do to get the good ending. And after you hit a certain point, you just have to start over from the beginning again and play the same boring events over and over again with the same boring 2 responses. Either you swipe left and you get one response, or you swipe right and you get another response. And it doesn't even really randomize the responses much at all. Loki responded, by the way, saying yes, that, which again, not to nitpick, because it's not as descriptive as I would like to know, because the delay, he could be saying yes, that to one thing or the other. But I think I've got the message. And so after I played Reigns, I played a spotlighted a game called My Name is Mayo, which is a clicker game, but not really a clicker game, because you can do all the achievements in less than 2 hours. In fact, you can play the entire game in less than 2 hours, and if you wanted to nefariously do that and then get a refund for the 99 cents or so you'd spend on it, you could get away with that, almost certainly. But the thing about My Name is Mayo is that you click on a jar of mayonnaise trying to open the jar. And as you're clicking on the mayonnaise, a story evolves and it tells you a few lines of dialogue after every 50 clicks or so. And it's very linear, very well thought out. Not perfectly thought out, because it starts with the mayonnaise speaking from a female voice and talking about dressing up to be sexy, and it kind of, that's an interesting reveal as you see this jar of mayonnaise in a bikini pretty quickly in the game. And then it goes to like a childhood story, and then it goes to like a father talking about life story, and then it goes to a male perspective. So then the jar of mayonnaise turns into a male character talking about trying to date a girl, and it's not greatly consistent there, and I'm spoiling the little bit of story there, but it was very linear. Every time you clicked, you were working towards the next piece of story, and no randomization, nothing like that. And so it was a good contrast and a good reason to show off a silly game. Yeah, Loki is saying he's still getting used to the delay. Yeah, it's probably about 30 seconds, I would guess, even with it. My internet's not the greatest. That's going to be it for this stream and this recording. So I hope you enjoyed it, Loki. We played about 3 games, and that's kind of all I want to do it. I need to get on to playing BioShock Infinite and try to get ahead on my videos. Last thing I want to do is fall behind even more. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thanks for playing me, Loki, in particular, and thank everyone else for watching. Have a good evening. Bye.